All right. Well, at least for the BU staff, what's the best way to get in touch with you? And in your opinion, if there's a student athlete that wants to get in touch with a college coach, what's the best way to do that these days?
If you have my cell phone, call it, and leave a message or text me before because I don't answer numbers I don't know. And if you're 14 or 15 years old, which means you're a freshman or sophomore, I can't call you back. But if you leave a message, I'll get back to that club coach and tell him to give me a call back. And that's certainly a great way to get in touch. I'm not great with my office phone. I'll just tell you that straight up. So if you call it, there's a really good chance I won't answer it. So good luck. But that means you can email me. And obviously any FLG guy can reach out to you, Corey, or your father, and get my cell phone. And I hope you use that information well, that cell phone, that is, right? So that's definitely the best way to get in touch with us as a staff is email or getting a hold of our cell phones.
Cool. I appreciate that. Coach Sage, I got a question for you that just came in. We got actually a lot of student athletes here going through the recruiting process that are from non-traditional areas on the webinar tonight. And one parent asked, if you're coming from a non-traditional pocket, let's say in Minnesota or Wisconsin or Illinois, how can players like that get looks from a school like yours or others like it? And how do you guys recruit kids from non-traditional areas if you do? I know you said most of the players come from kind of that tri-state area, but if you were to recruit outside that pocket, where would you go and how would you go about recruiting a kid like that?
Sure, good question, and I think that's somewhere that the highlight tape is very helpful, and that we might not be able to see them in the fall a whole lot, but we can kind of get a good feel for you on your highlight film. So that might be a good way for players from non-traditional areas to at least get a first contact out there with a nice email that's written to the coach. For us, when we have guys that contact us from the West Coast or Midwest or Florida, we try to line it up. There's always a few major weekends in the fall. There's 3 major weekends in the fall that a lot of times we'll be at all those big events. So whether it's in Philly or Long Island or Maryland, those are good times to make sure you target those dates in the fall. And then, those major weekends in June and beginning of July in the summertime. So if you're going to come make a trip to the East Coast, try and plan, if you're driving from, Philly up to Syracuse, you're going to drive right by us. Or you're going to drive, you're going to, a different event in Boston, and then you're going to be driving down somewhere. Go to BU or go through Boston or through Massachusetts while you guys are up there. But try and line it up. Don't just send an email like the morning of, because it's tricky, but you got to be a little more organized and line it up while you're on the East Coast for these big events, because that's when we try to watch the guys from the non-traditional areas. We don't not recruit them. There's just a little more legwork we got to do. But when they're at big events in the fall for those big weekends, or the summer recruiting season, to make sure you line it up and see the campus while you're on the East Coast, playing in those big tournaments.
Sure. Coach Morgan, I got a question for you as it relates to parents in the recruiting process. In your opinion, what do you think their role should be?
Definitely not first contact, I'll tell you that much. I mean, I'm from the book of, you can't play for me if mom or dad is the one who initially emails us. It's just not, we just don't even answer it or even look at the film. It's just that, obviously the parents can help certainly in the search and help them look and help them even compose email. I think it's really only limited to logistical things. If we're dealing with a 2020 or 2019 who's coming up and there's a flight involved and there's a hotel involved, like, okay, that we can certainly work with on. And then the other part is the finances. When it comes to paying for college, they're going to play a huge role in it, paying. So for me, that's kind of the 2 conversations that we will have. But in terms of the recruiting process and what we need from them, we don't deal with the parents in terms of transcripts or or give me your summer schedule. Like, that all should come from the kid. Now what that shows us is that it's a mature young man who's maybe 15, 16, but he understands that this is going to be a big commitment. So it kind of starts there, and then when they come up, kind of let your son or daughter drive the ship in terms of the questions and things that you may ask, and try to pull back a little bit and not kind of steer the conversation. But yeah, when it comes to logistical information or the well-being of the student athlete or the finances, that's kind of where I think that's where their major role should be.
Is it safe to say, in terms of contact, to you guys, a student athlete contacting you guys, if a parent takes control of that, it could be a complete turnoff for you guys.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right.
And we're recruiting the player. We're recruiting those student athletes, so we want to contact them the most. Like Coach Morgan said, the parents do have to get involved at some point, but that initial contact, we definitely want to be, working as much as we can with the student athlete.
I think the only thing, and my godfather always said, the parents pay the bill. They don't go to school. So, obviously they do play a role in that, but we're dealing with the kid day in, day out. And so any parent that gets involved in the recruiting process is going to get involved when they're not playing, or when we might sit them because they missed a lift, so then they have to miss a practice or a game in terms of a disciplinary action. So, those red flags come to us early when, a parent is, all over us in the recruiting process. And we usually tend to assume that it could happen when they're here as college athletes.
We're going to